Today's exclusive Organic Produce Network event is made possible by our sponsor, Homegrown Organic Farms.
At Homegrown Organic Farms, we're family farmers that have been exclusively growing and marketing certified organic produce since 1998. Founded on a pledge to care for the land, we believe in returning what the soil abundantly provides. This means an uncompromising commitment to quality that is second to none. And that means we offer you only what we trust for our own families. Always organic, always homegrown.
Welcome to today's OPN special, Retailer Insights on Organics. Fresh Time Markets has taken the Midwest by storm, bringing its organic lifestyle of real food at affordable prices to consumers across the heartland of America. Leading the charge is Scott Schutte, Vice President of Produce for Fresh Time. During his 25-year produce career, Scott's leadership has helped establish a strong organic foothold in the Midwest and brought healthy and nutritious food to tens of thousands of consumers. Leading the discussion today is Tonya Antle, co-founder and Executive Vice President of the Organic Produce Network.
I am so delighted to be joined today by Scott Schutte, Vice President of Produce and Floral of Fresh Time Markets. Welcome, Scott, to the program.
Thank you, Tonya. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm excited to be here and talk all about organics today.
Excellent. Well, we're so excited to have you with us to talk about organics, talk about how 2020 has gone. And so let's just go ahead and get started. For the last decade, Fresh Time Markets has really taken the Midwest by storm. You've come out of nowhere and you've really hit it out of the park. So why don't you just tell our viewers a little bit about Fresh Time, about your dedication to fresh, and about organics and how that fits into your program?
Absolutely. Fresh Time right now is about 6 years old. We're a retailer that's in the Midwest. We have 70 stores. We operate a smaller footprint than normal traditional grocery stores. We're about 27,000 square feet in totality. Right now, the 70 stores that we operate are in 10 different Midwestern states. We have our own self-distributed distribution center in Bolingbrook, Illinois, that reaches out to all 10 of those states and services our stores. We're all about natural and organic, and those are the areas that we focus on the most at Fresh Time, really all departments, not just produce. We're about bringing real food at real affordable prices to our many customers that are in the Midwest and hungry for something healthy to eat.
Excellent. So to that point, I noticed on your website that you have a big, audacious goal of bringing and making your communities healthier through fresh, organic produce. Was there a catalyst that drove the ownership into making that decision to go in that direction?
There was definitely, and 100% of that credit goes to the Meyer family. Right now, bringing real food at affordable prices to the Midwest. That was an original vision by the Meyer family and a goal that we had for putting Fresh Time on the map to be that provider and service the customers with those needs. It's definitely our calling card. It's our primary focus and mission to provide a customer with those food options.
That's great. So as a follow-up, we really think of the West Coast and the East Coast as the real drivers for organic, and you've spent time in the West. How does the Midwest really differ when it comes to customer preference, growth, sales? Really, what's the strategy when you moved from West to Midwest?
Yeah, the Midwest is definitely late to the game, but it's increasing on a regular basis. Our customers are dictating the abundance of organic items and the increased assortment of organic items on a daily basis. We've got a lot of customers that are from other parts of the U.S. They're snowbird type customers that have residency in Florida or places like California that are picking up on the organic trends and helping bring them back to the Midwest. We also have a number of competitors that are getting into the organic arena more and more, which is creating some competition on who could lead the organic market the best in our retail marketplace.
Well, as you know, we've all lived through 8 months of probably the most unlike any other time in history. And from a retail standpoint, though, we had double digit growth in Q2 in organic sales, and we've leveled off in Q3. So tell us a little bit about how you responded in this increased demand during Q2, and now that it's leveled off, what has it been like for Fresh Time?
It's been a crazy journey the past number of months for sure. At the first of the year, we were fortunate enough to have kicked off a new automated ordering system for the produce managers at store level, which helped them be more accurate in all of their ordering, including organic items. That was one of the main things that has kept us in stock and providing our customers with the best service possible at that time. It did help us with the surgeons of COVID in March get over the obstacles of possibly running out of stock on many items. This new software helped make sure that the supply chain from the original distribution center to the store was left 100% with good fill rates and good solid conditions for the customers, and has really done a wonderful job of keeping us in business throughout these tough times.
Well, you've really answered that next question I had. It was how has the supply chain reacted and been able to live up to your expectations? Because there was definitely a vacuum cleaner happening out here in the West when it came to supplies. So it sounds like your great relationships with your current suppliers have led you to that fill. But my question to you today is tell us about any product that was like a home run or something that really was unexpected that really grew in sales during that time that you didn't expect?
Absolutely. We had a number of unexpected items that really took off and resonated well with the new shopper post COVID. For us, those were items that were packaged items. We found that everything from packaged herbs, packaged salads, the new pouch bag of organic apples, and some of the different packaged organic items really resonated well with this new customer. The customer seemed to be a little bit more food safe and was definitely in a hurry and not taking a whole lot of time in their shopping experience like they had done in months past and in years past. They were more concerned about a quick grab and go option, and they loved the alternative for it also being organic.
And many of those shoppers are no longer eating outside of the home too, so they want restaurant quality product in their at-home dining. Did you see that you
Yeah.
had an uptick with your nutritionist talking to consumers? And what about recipes that really led to this value-added product and what even to do with it? And what comes to mind for me is ginger. Ginger is always a healthy product. How did, consumers in the Midwest even know how to use it? How did you help introduce some of these, what we would consider more specialty items to the organic consumer?
Well, our registered dietitian and our social media team are just having a field day with all kinds of fun and exciting things that they're doing with the customer base. They've done all kinds of different cooking episodes and different recipe ideas that are helping customers understand how easy it is to use some of those items. I just spoke of the fresh herb category before, and at Fresh Time, we only carry organic fresh herbs, but that's a category for us that is on the top of the list for consumers gravitating towards it because of eating at home and enjoying finally the ability to learn how to cook with something like a fresh herb. It's become actually a staple part of their diet, and it's our biggest increased organic category right now, the fresh herb segment.
That is so great because you can use them in all kinds of dishes, and I think it adds a little spice to anything that you're cooking. That's very exciting. And I love to hear the consumers are cooking because I think, and I hope you tell me, this isn't going to go away when we look forward. As consumers have learned to cook, do you think that's going to shift back, or do you think it's something that's going to lead to more consumers shopping heavier in your store?
No, I'm definitely on the side of it's going to be beneficial for the retailer to continue having shoppers in our store looking for those new unique items and also looking for, some additional recipe ingredients that they might not have ever used before. And I think this trend is here for a while to stay, especially during the rebuilding process of the food service and the restaurant industry.
Right. So there are consumers that were really afraid early on to even go into a store. So online became really dynamic and exciting for consumers that felt like they could get something delivered to their home or they could easily come and pick up. So talk about that category and how that's affected your business and who did you partner with to help that happen?
Yeah. Finding ways to replace that in-person impulse buy and the theater of being in a store and buying groceries has been really tricky. And what we've done right now, we focused on trying to get as much exposure as possible out to our customers by, multiple different vehicles. Right now, we're on an Instacart program, a Shipt program, and we're also using the Fresh Time website all as online ordering platforms to help our customers with different options. I've got a lot of visual pictures, images, and different parts of social media that all point to that direction as a simple, fast, and easy, viable option that still allows them to shop with their eyes and see some of the cool visual items that we have for sale, but just not in person.
So, do you think it's had an effect on brick and mortar for you in your 70 plus stores? But also to that question, do you have a new shopper, a shopper that maybe would have shopped in a really large Meyer format that now wants to do something a little smaller, quicker shop? How did that all play into what's happening at brick and mortar?
Sure. We have definitely picked up some new shoppers because of the online avenue that customers are able to take right now. Our online growth, just like many retailers, is going to continue to grow if and only if we're able to continue to perfect all the details of it. And that includes, overall profitability of the online program versus the traditional brick and mortar program. Right now, the online growth for us, um, it's going to encourage many brick and mortar locations to develop and perfect that hybrid type system where they've got customer transactions that are available at store and in person. And they also offer a very strong online, robust program for consumers to shop from the safety of their home.
Right. And is that both delivered and pickup sales?
That is, in fact, we've mastered the delivered part of it, and that was actually ongoing many years ago. We're in the beginning stages of perfecting the pickup part of the business also to have some curbside assistance for many of our customers that request that.
That's great. We always want to ask your wish list. So the holidays are coming on. What is
Yeah,
Scott's wish list on how the organic community can better serve you and your consumer moving forward?
sure.
If you had your biggest wish, what would it be?
Yeah, it's a great crowd to be able to talk about this too because it's definitely organic related. My wish, and it's been a wish for a while, but it's a big focus for us in 2020 and even 2021 is item identification at the front end for our cashiers. And that big focus is it's kind of two-sided. The first side of it would be making sure that our own team members have that ability to properly identify many of the items coming through the registers. For us, we have some challenges with organic items. We have the tendency, especially with new cashiers, to inadvertently, accidentally ring up an organic item as a conventional item. And a lot of times that's at a cost. We lose some sales and we lose some valuable margin dollars when that does happen. So, training the front end team is big on how to identify those organic items. From the wholesale grower shipper side of the business, it's also important for us to do the best job possible with product labeling of those organic items. And I'm big at requesting from my procurement team to partner up with groups that are helping us better identify those organic items, better twist ties, better labels, better packaging graphics, whatever will help my front end team at the store do a better job with accurately ringing up those items, which at the end of the day or the end of the customer transaction, that means a lot for the customer also to know that their receipt matches what they actually came in and they paid for. And that's our integrity. So
Right.
I'm real big on making sure that identification from the grower shipper side of the business to the knowledge side of the business with our front end team is top notch for all the right
That's
reasons.
great. And that's a great message to send to the grower shippers on how we can help you be better at your job. So, do you have self checkout in the stores?
We do. We're testing self checkout right now, and we're going through a series of remodel stores that are in areas that are greatly benefiting from adding those quick and easy self checkouts to the grocery front end.
It makes me wonder, back to the proper labeling is when the consumer, because I know I like to go through self checkout and I remember the nine because, we helped develop the nine. So,
Yeah.
I'm just curious if consumers have a harder time with that, and hopefully we can educate them. There is a slide that we're going to be sharing here that shows how at the front of your store you say, look for the nine and look for organic. And I think that really helps people too.
Sure. And what we do a little different than other retailers is the primary focus for the front end team is always asking if the customer has any organic items on their purchase for the day.
Right.
The teleprompter on the register screen asks that same question about making sure that if you have any organics, please let us know. And then even the push buttons on the self checkout registers are in order of organic buttons first, conventional buttons last. So we always default to the importance of organic first.
Excellent. Well, that's sounds like it's very user friendly. So let's switch gears for a second. Holidays are approaching. It's typically a very busy and profitable time of year for shippers and for retailers. But this year might be a little bit different. So, talk about that. I don't know if everyone's going to be jumping in cars and on airplanes to be with family members. So, are you seeing that people are talking about smaller gatherings? And how are you preparing for that when it comes to your assortment and how the packaging is going to look?
Now, you are definitely spot on that there are going to be fewer of those larger major gatherings, and there are going to be quite a bit more of those smaller family, immediate family type intimate gatherings. For us, I kind of equate it to my team as that 12 to 14 pound turkey. It's going to be super popular this year. That big 18 to 22-pound turkey, it's not going to be quite as popular this year for us, but I'm looking forward to the number of transactions, extra additional transactions that this is going to provide for the retailer this year. We're still going to have a lot of customer traffic in the store. We're still going to have a lot of customers that right now are going to be cooking with some of those important key organic items that are part of every Thanksgiving recipe. That's not going to change,
Right.
but maybe the frequency of shoppers and the amounts that they're buying are going to be different than in years past.
Right. I didn't even think about that. So instead of one big family gathering, you're going to have three small gatherings. Everybody's going to want to have the same Thanksgiving traditional items. So that gives you more rings. That's what a great positive way to look at it.
Yeah, and again, for us, the hero of this Thanksgiving and most likely Christmas also is going to be that organic herb category for us. It's done a great job since the outbreak of COVID in March to continue real high double-digit comp increases for us. And right now, we've got plans of almost a 90% increase in the organic herb category for Thanksgiving, just because more individual families will be doing some cooking at home and still utilizing that same amount of cooking herbs, the poultry blend, the rosemary, the thyme, the sages of the world to prepare that Thanksgiving turkey for this year. So we're excited about that opportunity.
You're making me hungry. Okay, so let's switch gears. You are Fresh Time, I should say. You guys get really high marks in the industry when it comes to merchandising. So, talk about holiday merchandising and overall what your merchandising scheme is, not only for holiday, but organic versus conventional. What does that look like? We always have that $64,000 question, segregated versus
Sure,
integrated. So, talk about what you're willing to share with us today on what is your magic.
sure. Yeah, we have the best of both worlds for merchandising strategies for Fresh Time. Our primary item locations are our home locations for organic items. Those are all items that are definitely segregated. They're by themselves. The tables are really loudly branded as USDA certified organic, along with the wet rack section and some other parts of our organic category. And that's, kind of part one of our merchandising strategy with organic. Part two, or the hybrid mode that we go into, is optimizing some other parts of our store location for satellite displays or secondary, tertiary type displays that feature organic and that might be commingled next to a conventional item, but not mixed in or intertwined with by any way. And that gives us another shopping location or another avenue for customers on their traffic flow to bump into some of these satellite displays and be able to benefit from maybe making that transition from a long-time conventional shopper into how easy it might be to pick up that organic item because it's now in front of them. And one of the other things that we do a little differently is on the segregated organic sections, we have some big primary end cap displays that have quite a bit of holding power, and they're very visible to the flow of customer traffic as a customer is coming through. Those are our bread and butter areas where we save those for feature items and items that are promoted in our ad flyer and that have some tendency to become very high velocity organic items. We've also trained customers that those end caps are important organic areas for the representation of value to that equation that I talked about earlier with providing that real food at the real affordable prices.
Right. Well, and by putting them next to each other, not mixed together because we have to look at good organic retail practices, you are offering price comparison. And so that's where you can get that new shopper if the price point is not the gap's not too large, right?
That is correct. And that's one of the big things we do focus on from a pricing strategy is our composite pricing and how we're parallel pricing a lot of conventional and organic items. So it makes that consumer's decision really easy. It
Great.
doesn't involve anything with their wallet or their pocketbook, but it involves that opportunity for them to transition over into organic without spending any more. We've got a lot of price parity going on with organic and conventional item, and it gives them that opportunity to try organic.
How does the consumer pick up the promotional flyer? Is that in store? Do you mail it? Do you email it? What's that strategy?
Well, we do a combination of everything. We do quite a few, well, to the tune of hundreds of thousands of flyers that go directly mailed out to our customers.
Right.
We offer the same hard copy flyer in store at the point of entry when a customer walks in. And then we do a great job with digital marketing and making sure that on everybody's smartphone or on their computer, they have an opportunity for that nice little email blast that advertises and promotes all the great organic items that we have featured for every week.
That sounds so great. You have it so dialed in. So, as we look back, let's go back for a second. Let's look back at this last year. What do you think are the top two things that have changed in our business forever and we don't see it coming back?
Wow, that's a really good question. If I think hard on that one, the first thought that comes to mind is going to be the importance or the recognition of the importance that our retail frontline workers have right now. I think that's changed quite a bit, but it's allowing many of us to better understand really how critically important the retail workers are for our business and making sure that that final closing transaction between the product and the customer ends up being perfect. And in our environment right now, that also means a safe transaction.
Well, thank you for honoring those frontline workers because they've been at it from day one, and we so appreciate what they are doing. And I think all consumers realize that it's been a tough job to stay safe and, feel comfortable coming in the store. So it sounds like you've done everything possible to make that happen.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that I just remembered is the fact that we're on this type of a presentation today. A lot of times these type of presentations are in-person presentations,
Right.
and we have that opportunity to be really face-to-face, but in person with each other. I think one of the things that'll change moving forward will be our ability to conduct virtual meetings, similar to this, or maybe vendor to retailer type meetings without having to do extensive travel plans and to use valuable hours of travel time to be able to meet in person. We now have a better opportunity to meet virtually and still review samples and still talk about programs, but to do it in a way that's a little bit more conducive for our fast-paced business right now. I think that's one of the big learnings from at least the past 7 months that we've gone through.
And maybe a little lighter on the carbon footprint too.
Absolutely, absolutely, and as
Yeah.
productive.
Incredibly so. So, as we say farewell to 2020, I know I'm going to be one that's going to be burning that calendar. As we look forward to 2021, what's in your crystal ball? What do you see moving forward for our industry and for Fresh Time?
I just spoke about the retailers, and I'm going to direct this answer to really everybody, growers, shippers, the folks down in the trenches that are helping get the job started, to all the way at the end of the transaction with the retailer. Overall, there's going to be a stronger workplace environment for folks, a safer environment, a more focus on the health and the well-being of the team members in the future that are going to be one of the big up and coming things that will be here to stay.
Let's talk about Q1 2021. How is first quarter for you traditionally? And again, I'm going to use your crystal ball again. What do you see for 2021?
Well, I like that question. It really makes the retailer think. Most retailers are focused on quarter four, and that's the holiday time of year, and that's the time where quite a bit of revenue comes through the front end of each of the stores. To focus on Q1 for us, super important to our business, because Q1, like any other Q1, has a lot of customers with some resolutions that are about to be in place. For 2021, New Year's resolutions will take on a whole different meaning. There will be quite a bit of folks that are hyper focused on their health, and they've been focused on their health before, but I don't believe they're going to be anywhere near the area of focus that they've had in the past. It's going to be ramped up considerably. And for us, this is a traditional bump in sales that's usually double digits for a growth, a year over year sales growth. It's a time of year where those resolutions are put in place, and we'll have a big opportunity to transition many conventional shoppers over to become diehard organic fans and supporting that part of our business. It's one of the reasons that for 2021, not only is our produce department for Fresh Time center of the bullseye for the company, but the organic category will be for us also. I see it as a huge opportunity for us to grow our organic part of the business farther than we ever have before. And it's going to be one of the benefits that the customers actually reap because of our promotions, because of our commitment from a marketing standpoint, and because of how we're going to service our customers in the Midwest better with providing them some different and new and exciting alternate solutions for what's on their shopping list.
That's great. And again, going back to your suppliers, besides the labeling and signage and things that can help you, is there anything else that we can do to make you more successful? Are you looking
Yeah,
for a new
absolutely.
item?
Well, for Fresh Time, speaking for us and speaking for us selfishly, we've got a goal. It's not really a goal. It's going to be a fact that we win 2021 with winning organic. And that's a big mantra for us in 2021. I mentioned earlier some of the different categories of organic items that are really clicking or working right now. The packaged tote bag apples, the packaged salad programs, and some of these quick grab and go type organic items. Those are going to be big on our list. And I think the customer will still be looking for that ease of shopping. They'll still be looking for some food safety factors, but they'll also be used to 7 months, 8 months, 9 months worth of buying those type of items and really liking them. And those type of items will probably not fade anytime soon. It's going to be a big part of our business. So those are categories that we're going to focus on moving forward and try to capitalize on how we can be better merchants at store level to get those in front of customers and ultimately build our sales up.
So I love to support local and I love to support new organic farmers coming along. So, how do you at Fresh Time allow for an organic farmer that may be listening today and wanting to do business with you? How do they gain entry?
So there's going to be two ways that I'll talk about. The first is our website. We have a section at the very bottom of our website that's an actual vendor portal that allows a future vendor or current vendor to get into the vendor portal and represent product on the portal through RangeMe. The second method is it's one of my favorites because even in my position, I love still interacting with potential vendors and current vendors that have a good solid product line to offer Fresh Time. And that would be reaching out to myself directly via email at sshooty@freshtime.com to help introduce yourself and make sure that I can get you into the right hands to further review and understand what your product line is all about, and most of all, how we could partner in the future. The Fresh Time Distribution Center is really only 3 years old, so we've been self-distributing ourselves for that 3 years. We're still, in many ways, immature, and we're constantly growing and developing our portfolio of vendor partners. And one of the best ways for us to do that is that direct contact with a lot of folks that have some great programs to offer us.
Well, thank you for your generosity and sharing that email. I'm sure there's a lot of people jotting that down right now. But you
Perfect.
also have organic produce heroes that have been with you since the beginning. So here's your chance. Give them a shout out.
Absolutely. Hero, I couldn't have said it better because they actually are. We did have a couple things in our favor when we went into, the tail end of March that helped us graduate through better in-stock conditions. But really, truthfully, the real heroes of that event were our vendor partners, the ones that were out there keeping the supply chain top notch and keeping us full and fresh every day of the week. I would take another half hour or so to mention all key vendor partners that we have that were part of that, but I really appreciated it. It did help us keep our business going. It really solidified a strong place for Fresh Time on the map in the Midwest as being a good, strong, viable solution for a customer to come in and know that that in-stock situation was going to be there for them time again as they shopped our departments. There has been that opportunity for me formally thanking our vendor, grower, shipper community, but I wanted to try to take it a step farther and make sure that the folks listening took that opportunity down to other members of your team that have really helped your business support what we do day in and day out, and that's sell great organic groceries to the customers that are in need of them. And without all of their help and your help, we couldn't have done it. And I really sincerely appreciate it.
Well, thank you. This has been a fantastic session. We've learned so much more about Fresh Time, about merchandising in the Midwest, about growth of organics, about your passion and conviction for the category. We couldn't be more thrilled. So thank you. We appreciate it. And you have a great rest of your day, and happy holidays to everyone.
With 7 locations in the greater New York metropolitan area, Stu Leonard's is one of the most iconic East Coast grocery retailers. With an unwavering commitment to customer service and strong consumer following, the company is led by the man whose father founded the company. Please join Stu Leonard Jr., President and CEO of Stu Leonard, and moderator Kevin Coop, the content guy of Morning Newsbeat, in a discussion of the current grocery environment and the role of organics.
It is a real pleasure today to welcome our guest for this second in an ongoing series of conversations we're having as part of the Organic Produce Summit. So Stu Leonard's is an iconic retailer in Connecticut, and we're joining us today is Stu Leonard Jr. Stu, welcome to this conversation.
Thank you. I love being here, Kevin. You know why I'm doing this? Because you're such a good customer at Stu.
Well, I was going to say, as a matter of full disclosure, I live about 6 miles from the original Stu Leonard's, and I have shopped at Stu Leonard's virtually every Saturday, or at least once a week, for the last 36 years. So, yeah, one of the things, I've had a lot of conversations with people since the pandemic began, Stu, and one of the observations I've made consistently is that you were absolutely killing it during the pandemic. It struck me that in so many ways you were perfectly positioned to deal with the curveballs of the pandemic threw at you. I mean, first of all, Incredibly strong fresh food, and at a time when people wanted to cook and were being more healthy. You had strong takeout, which people were also looking for. And the other thing is everybody else was struggling with directed traffic flow, and you've had that since day one. Is that a fair assessment of how you sort of dealt with the pandemic?
Well, you know what, Kevin, it's an interesting question because it is a little bittersweet in a way. I mean, I really thank every day that I'm an essential business with our 3,000 people working at Stu Leonard's now, because when I look outside the window, America, the world is having the most difficult time with the pandemic right now. There's been so many tough stories and the unemployment, and it's a very choppy landscape out there. On the other hand, I just look at Stu Leonard's, and I had we had a Zoom call with our management team this morning. Charlie and Paul were on it also, but I thanked everybody for the incredible job they had stepping up to the plate through a tough time. And one of the things I'm really proud, and I told everybody this morning, was that we reacted like immediately to this whole pandemic situation. I mean, we just closed our eyes, masks, sanitizer wipes, triple cleaning above CDC standards at night. We hired extra people to wipe the shopping carts down out front. We hired a doctor to advise everybody on trying to educate our people about what this virus is, and which was changing daily. And so we reacted very quickly. We figured it cost about $1 a customer every visit for all these extra things we had to do. But you know what? We could stand there and say to our people, our stores, we have 7 of them around the Metro New York area, were the cleanest place anybody could be every day. Cleaner than their house, cleaner than their car, cleaner than going to the gas station to fill their car with gas or whatever. So that was our goal. So, our experience is we have had, a challenging year. It's been strong sales, but it's also been huge challenges getting product. And thanks to Paul McLean here, who is our senior buyer at Stu's, he came and joined us in March. He jumped in, as he says, in the deep end. Okay. But he's done a great job. And Charlie, when did you join us? In what? That was right around the same time, wasn't it?
Yes, the first week of March 2nd.
And so it's been bittersweet, I guess. And we're happy because of we've been hiring people. We haven't had to lay any of our people off. We've been providing jobs. We've been paying our taxes. We didn't get any PPE money or any funding. We're paying all the taxes. So we feel good about our contribution to our communities right now, but also, there's a solemn moment we have when we look and see what everybody's going through today.
Were there specific sort of operational stresses in terms, beyond just making sure everything was clean and sanitizing carts? Were there things that were harder to navigate than others operationally?
Yeah, I think what happened was a complete change in customers' attitude when they were food shopping. It used to be, oh boy, we're going food shopping. Let's get the family together and let's head out to the store. We had a welcoming, we're like Disneyland to dairy stores, animation, we wanted fun, lots of demos going on in the store. And what we noticed, like bang, what happened as the news started to unravel there was people coming in like they wouldn't even look you in the eye almost. They were scared. They didn't bring their families with them anymore. One person came out shopping. There was this wasn't something that was fun that you had to do. It was something I gotta do. gee, I don't really want to be here. Let me get in and out really quick.
Yeah.
So we had to modify the store very quickly with I think we put up right now it's almost like 2 football fields full of plexiglass in the store with the making sure the
Right.
registers were you know had plexiglass between each one. The butcher shop, so you couldn't directly talk to the butcher. It was behind plexi. The deli counter where you slice the cold cuts. Even our bagels, which we make, you know, and we let customers pick their own. We had to stop that and put plexiglass up with service. We just took all our buffets out of the store, like, you know how Whole Foods had all those big food. So, excuse me, the customer just changed and we had to adapt really fast without data, off a gut feel. We found out, you know, we have a pretty flat organization as far as decision making. We found that was invaluable during the crisis because people made decisions like I'd walk in the morning and go, oh, how did that happen? You know, they just went and did it. And so, you know, we got a crisis team together every morning. There was maybe 40 or 50 people on the Zoom call, offering ideas, and we just went and pulled a lot of triggers there.
It's interesting when you talk about you know, sampling, and I will say that I mean that is probably the thing I probably miss the most. I mean, because that's one of the magic things about Stu Leonard's, and for people who haven't been there, it is a directed traffic flow, and virtually around every corner there is something to nibble on. There's some cookies to nibble on, or there's some, you know, rice cakes or vegetables or fruit, whatever it happens to be. And not having that is, I actively miss it when I come in the store.
I agree with you. What can we do though?
No, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and so you know, and I feel people are very, you know, they don't want to have open food in the store right now. We've seen a big increase in packaged goods. But you know what's interesting? One thing we've seen a big interest, and it's a topic of today's conversation, is the organics. Mm-hmm. There's something with the pandemic hitting that people want to be ensured that their food's cleaner, that it's better, that's more wholesome. And the organic name on product has really, we've seen a big lift, huh, Paul, in the whole organic. And Charlie, just mention what you have done with the produce. I mean, it went up a double, I think, right? The organic sales at the store.
Yes. So since pandemic to date, we more than double. We did like almost $6 million this year compared to last year was $2.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's had a big increase in organics, and we've noticed even immunity fighting foods like turmeric. Never sold much of it. All of a sudden now it comes out that it's good for your immune system. Boom, sales have gone way up. We've seen increases in our frozen foods right now. We have a whole line of organic fruits, you know, and vegetables. It's a tremendous seller right now. You see, that, you know, I read a statistic where 50 to 70 million people never cooked a meal from scratch before in America. And that's all changed now. We're getting people coming in and asking for recipes. We're seeing our butter go up. We're seeing our cream go up. You know, the citrus with vitamin C has exploded because now with the flu, and it's good to have vitamin C in your body. And we're seeing a lot more people cooking at home and you know, living there's much more family mealtime events than there used to be.
Stu, I'm curious. I mean, you know, the whole industry has been moving towards more convenient items over the past few years, but now that people are doing more of their own cooking from scratch, has there been an impact on the sale of those kinds of items?
Oh, you know, we're seeing like a big increase in that sort of grab and go section right now. We even just, you know, a fellow that I know, Andrew Naden, he's a CMO down at Southeastern Grocers.
Sure.
And we were lucky enough, Paul and I and a few of our people were on the phone with him, and he said those little snack packs that you have with the pepperoni and the cheese, he said are crazy down there, what they're selling those. So we're finding all those items like that, like grab and go. We have a container of coconut shrimp with some mango salsa in it. Boom, you know, crazy busy. So there's definitely having stuff prepared a little bit by the store, but then you just put maybe some pasta and some marinara sauce with it, and boom, you got a meal.
Yeah. How about sustainability? How big a priority is that? And has it changed because of some of the demands that the pandemic has put upon you?
Well, I would say it's definitely the drumbeat's getting louder on sustainability. I mean, people never really knew what it was, and I think today you're hearing it much more than ever at the store. And you know, they want to know that the food they're buying is you're not damaging the environment. And also another big word you're hearing is animal welfare. You know, they want to know that the animals are treated properly and that their cages and their pens and their barns are cleaned out, and compact together, living in 1 cubic foot of space or something. People are, I would say our customers are getting more and more concerned about that, and they should be. I think it's good. Farm raised salmon, for instance. You want to know that they're taking and they're growing the salmon, and so each salmon has plenty of space that it can swim in. So those issues today, I think, are more important than ever, and I think organic fits right into it. You know, people are concerned about how things are grown, the pesticides, how the farms are managed. You know, what type of you know, whether they're giving them antibiotics or not. Even GMOs now are more of a topic. So customers are getting much smarter, much more educated. And I think as food retailers, we have to react to that.
What about the supply chain issues? And let me make it a two-part question. I mean, one of the things with Stu Leonard's is, unlike the average supermarket that has, I don't know, 40 or 50,000 SKUs, that's a very complicated supply chain to deal with. You have what, 1,000, 1,200 SKUs in your store. Did that, I would imagine that made it a lot easier to navigate the supply chain issues that you had. And then specifically in terms of organics, were there, and organic produce, were there any challenges in terms of meeting the demand? Because here's the deal: if you went from $2.5 million to $6 million in organic produce sales, you also had to get that product. That's a lot more product you had to bring in.
Right. Well, I'm going to let Charlie answer that part, but before that, I just want to mention for the rest of the store, you know, my father always told me, be nice to the customer, right? I grew up with that. That got a lot of publicity with The Rock and the customers always right and all that. But there's something else he told me, and that was be nice to your suppliers. Because we're pretty much a fresh food company. We're dealing with farmers. We're dealing with smaller family businesses. And the relationship that you have with them will prevail through tough times. I never really understood that until the pandemic hit. Because our suppliers, because we've been with them 20, 30 years and have treated them, you know, like friends rather than a supplier. Hey, look, in the fresh food business, you have plenty of hiccups that occur. We've always worked through them. We paid them on time. We've been their friends. And one thing they said to me when the pandemic hit was, I'll never forget this. They said, Stu, we have your back. Okay. And we had product flowing in the store. Sometimes it might not have been exactly what we ordered because they couldn't have the whole product line offering that they did because they were under such pressure too. But we got product, you know, and so that was a really valuable lesson for me. And I think it makes me feel good to see that our shelves were full through the pandemic. Charlie, you could probably answer as far as all of the organics you were buying. How do you feel about the supply chain there?
We used to rely on third-party distributors for the organics. So we brought in directly now from the growers, shippers, like Driscoll's or Stem Mills. You know, on the berries, organic berries category alone, so far we did 1.7 million this year. Last year was $600,000. So we did over $1 million more than last year. And
Did you have any
apples,
supply issues?
no supply issues because we getting it directly from the grower, not from the distributor.
Okay.
And we getting it at the lower cost and we passing it to the customers on our savings. So that's helping us.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about making sure that you treat your suppliers well. And I to be honest, I've been in this, going to the store weekly for 36 years. I hadn't thought about it this way before. But around the store, you see pictures of you and your team, on fishing boats, in fields, on horseback, on ranches.
Yeah.
And that's and that's great theater. And it does say something. I mean, it's just great, right? It just adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah.
But it also says something very specific, which is you're not just a guy in an office in a store, but you're out there. You and your people are out there, so you know what it's like to be on a fishing boat that's looking for salmon, or in a field picking grapes, or drinking coffee around a campfire on some ranch somewhere in Montana. And I think that matters. I mean, that matters to people because it brings them closer to the food. If we're talking about 6 degrees of separation, you're creating less separation between people and their food.
Right, and I think buying food, that's important, Kevin, because it's almost like going to a restaurant knowing that the owner is back in the kitchen.
Right.
There's something good that, you feel like someone's watching over everything.
How are you gauging what their sales are going to be like? I mean, people are cooking more, but there's going to be fewer parties. There are going to be fewer big get-togethers of families. So how do you think the holidays are going to go this year in terms of people's shopping habits?
Well, Kevin, I think that's the biggest question we are asking ourselves here at the store. We did a survey of 4,000 of our customers. We asked them, will Thanksgiving be bigger, the same, or smaller this year? 9 out of 10 of them said smaller. So I know, even just personally, I usually have about 30 people at my house, probably 25, 26 family members, and maybe 4 danglers, my kids maybe have friends that couldn't, they bring people over or whatever. And this year, we're only going to have probably like 10 or 12, just my immediate family. So I don't think people in the COVID environment want to bring 2 sides of the family together right now, especially if there's any medical issues or whatever.
So do you buy less? Do you buy more but smaller? I mean, or is it a guess at this point?
No, well, it's all a dart. Okay, it's a guess.
Right.
What we did is we hedged ourselves because we took our big turkeys that are like 25 pounds that a lot of people get. And if you look, depending on who you talk to, you could either say 1 to 2 pounds per person. But so you're talking maybe 15 people for a 25 pounder. What we did is ordered 20% less of them. And we ordered 20% more of the smaller ones, but we hedged it by ordering a whole bunch of extra turkey breasts. So people could buy the smaller one and then add on a little bit And we're going to encourage that at the holidays, just to make sure you have enough for turkey sandwiches the next day. But we think there's going to be as many gatherings. We think our sales, we feel, are going to be above what they were last Thanksgiving. But there's going to be a lot more smaller gatherings.
Will there be any effect on things like produce? I mean, I would imagine, will you buy, in terms of, potatoes, cranberries, stuff like that?
Well, you know what? Where I think the big thing, and Paul has already noticed this because we went through Easter already during the pandemic. And what we noticed was those big, like vegetable platters.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't sell as much. People wanted a smaller one.
Right.
Our shrimp platters, they wanted a smaller shrimp platter, cookie platters, cheese platters.
Yeah.
So what we've been doing is really reducing the size of these, of the offering to cater more to a smaller family gathering.
So as all this has been going on, I'm trying to remember the exact date, but you've just recently, I think just before the pandemic hit, pretty much, you opened a brand new store in New Jersey. You've got, and just before that, I guess you opened a brand new store on Long Island. Now you have two out on Long Island. So you've been dealing with all this stuff while simultaneously going through some pretty significant growth in the company. Has that stressed you out at all?
Oh yeah, I mean we've it's been a stressful year, for sure, that we've had, but things have settled down a little bit more right now. I think we have a rhythm going. There's no crazy things to expect, even though I'm hearing some rumblings right now about supply chain issues coming up. I'm hearing some rumblings. Dr. Fauci has talked about he's not happy with the numbers that are coming into Washington right now, and coming up to flu season right now, there seems to be some rumbling.
So talk to me a little bit. I want to talk about a few non-organic things. You've kind of dipped your toe a little bit in terms of e-commerce. You're doing more about that now than you were doing not that long ago. How's that going? What's your experience with the e-commerce world?
Well, I think we sort of missed the boat a little bit on that. Myself, we were focused more on selling stuff in the store. We have a gift center website right now to do e-commerce. We ship stuff. And obviously we're with Instacart, and we're doing curbside pickup, which was tremendous during the pandemic. It settled down a little bit now, but it's still 6 times what it was last year. So there's a lot of customers that want delivery. So I think we missed it on the e-commerce a little bit, but we're looking at developing that. I think the biggest change, Kevin, this year is that we had to take a little siesta from our weekly flyers because of the panic buying. We couldn't get enough product to promote product. So we had to take a little siesta there. And as we were getting ready to go back into it, we said, you know what, let's make a big move here. Let's discontinue the weekly paper inserts, which equates to 18 trees a week also. Right. So we decided to do that. We went all digital, and we're with our emails and also our social media efforts, we are really in the middle of learning about that and trying to build that up. We have over 300,000 email people now. We have a really good Facebook following. I don't know, it's 50, 60,000 or whatever. And we're trying to promote all of our products via email and social media rather than the paper flyers. Yeah. And that's a work in progress, and that's a tough one too.
Yeah, as a former newspaper man, it breaks my heart a little bit that when people do that, but I completely understand it, and I think it's absolutely the right thing to do. The other thing you've introduced relatively recently is your app,
right?
Which I, by the way, love. What are you hoping to get from? How are you hoping to utilize that in terms of communicating with customers?
That's a great question. You know, we always gave a free ice cream cone away if you spent $100, right? And so, you know, you've had plenty of them, right? Or a coffee. And so we really just converted that benefit over to the app, but now you could accumulate points.
Right.
So you didn't have to spend a $100 bill. You can now just accumulate 100 points. So we know a little bit about that customer now, what they bought, what they put in their cart. Did they buy wine with their, you know, filet mignon or their porterhouse steak when they shopped in Paramus? So we'll be able to dig in. We haven't done that yet. We don't want to do a data overload here because you know, it's so much fun. You could get in there and just want to look at too much data.
Right.
But so that's on our agenda right now. We got to develop like organics. You know, a good example is people that buy organics in the store. What else are they buying? What other type of food? You might find a lot of the organic purchasers you find they don't buy, they're vegetarians maybe, who knows? Yeah. More vegetarians.
So as we sort of wrap this up, you talked a little bit before about having a flat sort of leadership structure in the company. But tell me a little bit about your leadership style. Tell me about it. What kind of leader do you try and be? How are you trying to be seen by your employees?
One thing I would like is that the people working at the store, first of all, respect me, okay? And I think that's the core of any leader in any job, is you have to have respect. And that means if an ice cream cone falls on the floor, I'm not gonna walk by it or tell somebody to come clean it up. If there's a paper towel around or something, I'll grab it and do it. Sam Walton was always a great guy. I had a chance to meet him a number of times and spoke probably 4 or 5 times at their Saturday morning meeting. And I always liked his style. You know, he was about the floor. He was about, he was enthused about what was being sold in the store. You could tell that when he walked around the store, as big as Walmart became, and we knew him obviously when they were smaller, but people called him Sam, you know, and people call me Stu. They call me Mr. Leonard sometimes, and I say, hey, that's my father's name. Call me Stu, you know? So I try to be maybe an inspirational leader, trying to push people to get some sweaty palms and try new things. And I don't think you can ask for those things if you operate within a sort of a cloud of fear, you know. And so, you know, the culture is important. And I think our business, look, we're open 7 days a week, you know, and you know, we give great, you know, so our people get 7 weeks vacation a year after they've been here for a while. We're very generous with the benefits, but we also expect, look, Saturday's a busy day. So you can't sort of punch out on Friday at 5 o'clock and then show up Monday if you want to be in the middle of the action. So I feel good going to bed at night and feeling that I could maybe push somebody a little bit more to do a little more, try a little more, and help build maybe their self-esteem up. And I think it's evident here at Stu Leonard's because over 80% of the people have been hired from within. And this company is, you know, being run by, you know, a lot of people that were just kids.
I was going to make that observation that it's a different kind of organic, but there's been a lot of organic people growth at Stu Leonard's, and that I think certainly that speaks for the degree to which you empower people to sort of to try new things and do their best.
And you know, Kevin, I get invited a lot to talk about customer service, and I've found there's a tremendous correlation between your turnover and your customer service. If you're churning people in your company all the time, that's not by accident. There's something wrong there, you know. that you haven't, like somebody getting a divorce 2 or 3 times. You sort of go, wait a minute here. Let me.
Yeah, can't all be their fault.
Yeah, I don't always think it was her fault. I think maybe you got a little problem too. So,
All right.
yeah.
Guys, last question. I think we're all going to be thrilled to see 2020 in the rearview mirror. As you look at 2021, any expectations? Is it still, man, we're just going to fly by the seat of our pants because we have no idea what's going to happen?
Well, I like that phrase, fly by the seat of your pants, because that's what we've been doing now. And I think anybody who thinks they can predict next year is really throwing darts. And so we are expecting, obviously, the sugar high to come down, but there's still a lot of skepticism out there as far as the virus goes. And even if they do come out with a vaccine, from what the experts say, it's not going to be like 100% guaranteed. There's different, ways of reorchestrating whatever they do with the vaccine, but they're going to have to modify it. So I think it's going to take a little while into next year. And I think people's attitudes about food shopping have really been altered, and they're almost like branded a little bit about viruses and germs within the food store. And even if the governors said you could put your buffets back up tomorrow, I'd say no, I'm not going to do it, because the people I meet in the store don't want ladles being handled by 50 people a day or something. So I think this is gonna, my personal opinion, I think the sugar high will come down, but it's gonna last through 2021.
Well, Stu, I really appreciate all the time you have spent with us today. I've been shopping in your store for 36 years, as I said, and I'm still learning stuff. And that's one of the great things about going to the store and having a chance to talk to you. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
And thanks the whole organic team here that was with us today. And thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for joining us today. This recording will be available on the Organic Produce Network website and on our YouTube channel. If you'd like to stay up to date on current organic trends and industry leaders, like us and subscribe today.
Today's exclusive Organic Produce Network event is made possible by our sponsor, Homegrown Organic Farms.